Now, considering Friday's bounce back, today's price action for the Nifty and its close was actually disappointing. The Nifty near month future lost close to 167 points, almost a percent down, slipping once again below the 17,800 mark to post a close at 17,728, clearly an inside bar, staying completely within the range of Friday's session. Good evening, traders. 11th of April 2022. This is a Monday evening, 13 minutes past 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And we have a little bit of, yes, I think disappointment is the right word, because Friday's close, Friday's price behavior was fairly encouraging. But today's open and it stayed for the most of the day's trade, which will be much more clearer if we come down to the 75-minute time frame. You will notice that this is what it did throughout today's trade. It opened weak and stayed weak for most of the day's session. A little bit of bounce back we did notice in the afternoon, but nothing much in it. The short-term trend, which I focus on the 75-minute time frame to figure out, has kind of gone non-directional. It is vulnerable for a roll down on the downside, and yes, recent lows, which is close to 17,650, should be used as the immediate short-term supports. But beyond that, we have a couple of consolidations close to previous highs, which should act as support, and these levels are near around the 17,500 mark. The slightly larger picture, if we take a look at the daily chart, is still all right, not a problem. An inside bar today. We have a range contraction in many large cap stocks and the Nifty BankNifty, which means that we should brace ourselves for a sharp move within the next 2 days. The direction would be a little difficult to predict with certainty right now, but as I always say that I always like to keep the faith with the underlying trend, which is positive in this particular daily chart. Is the same with the BankNifty chart as well. So a nice breakout is definitely pending now in the next 2 sessions, preferably in the direction of the underlying trend. And so for the BankNifty, it has to be a move above 38,100, and for the Nifty above, essentially you can use Friday's range, which is 17,944, around 17,950. The first sign of strength would be if it scales above today's high. Lows, of course, Friday's low will be the immediate support for the Nifty index, and for the BankNifty it will be Wednesday's low, which is close to 37,400. We should remember there's a gap also which is supporting this index. Now, what do I feel? What does my gut feeling say? Well, if we go back a few sessions back, and if you've been following these videos, then during this time when the market was bottoming out, we were calling for participation from the banking stocks, financial stocks, and they did deliver. And I think I'll reiterate the same thing, that if the index has to bounce back further from here on, then the participation from BankNifty, the breakout above 38,100, bounce back from various large cap banking and financial stocks is going to be quite important. We saw today that the very opening and the follow through weakness that we noticed was primarily in today's trade due to large cap IT stocks like Infosys, and we also saw that with HCL Tech. Barring the IT stocks aside, stocks like Larsen & Toubro was down, and there seems to be no respite for the 2 big movers, but now they have completely given away that big move, HDFC and of course HDFC Bank. So weakness was predominantly concentrated within the large cap stocks, whereas the mid and small caps were doing relatively better. You don't need me to tell you this, we can see it here very clearly that the CNX mid cap and the small cap was much better off than what the Nifty and the BankNifty did. Sector-wise, it was fairly divided in today's trade. So if the BankNifty has to participate if the bank Nifty support comes in, if we get a breakout above 38,100 and the Nifty tries to bounce back, if in the next couple of days some kind of positivity comes back into the market, especially from the banking, then which are the ones? I think a relatively underperforming stock within the banking, which is trying its best to bottom out, can show some strength. We did notice a bit of buying impetus in today's trade going above that 1800 mark, but Kotak Bank can be an interesting counter. Well, the stock gave a pretty sharp move on this day, post which this has to be considered as a consolidation of this big sharp move. Today it did show a bit of buying impetus during the day's trade, and I feel above today's high, which is 1806, the stock has potential towards 1850 in a very short span of time. One, IDFC is one more counter that you would like to take a look at. This stock is also a relatively underperformer, which is now trying its best to turn the trend. It did manage to deliver a bit of buying interest recently. This is a consolidation, and hopefully this consolidation is over and we should be seeing a move towards the level of 46, 47. These couple of stocks are on the verge of giving us a short-term breakout. Apart from that, the ones which are holding pretty strong, you have State Bank of India, there's no doubt about it. One strong counter, and it's holding onto its gains pretty well. Today did slip a bit. Negative divergence is shaping up on the daily time frame, so this guy can slow down. ICICI Bank, no doubt about it, is a strong counter. Gain today. Axis Bank also falls in that category. HDFC Bank, what can we say? The huge gain that we noticed was completely given back, and there seems to be no respite for 5 consecutive negative days for the stock now. Ripe for a bounce back maybe. Let's see. But for tomorrow and applicable for day after also, Bank Nifty, close eye, put an alert at 38,100 for an upside breakout, and if that happens, maybe participation should come in from stocks like Kotak and IDFC. Of course, we cannot forget HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank. We should add this to the list. IT is weak. IT has disappointed and failed to give that bounce back, and it is likely to stay weak. So I wouldn't suggest to try any kind of short-term contrarian trade within the IT pack. Let's see how it shapes up. The market is overall filled with opportunities, thematic movements. We did notice in cements today, crazy move from Ambuja, ACC, Ramco Cement, Shree Cement, Ultrachem. In the morning, we did see some movement coming in from the power stocks, Tata Power, Power Grid, NTPC. So there will be thematic movements. We did see some breakouts in stocks like India Mart, Whirlpool and all. So I think, yes, within the mid and small caps, we might continue to get short-term breakouts on the upside. The large caps are weakening. This is not a very strong sign, but let's see whether in the next 2 days banks pick up or not, and do we get a short-term breakout on the upside. If it doesn't deliver tomorrow or day after tomorrow, then for the next week it will be difficult for the market to stay afloat on the upside. We might be ready for a short-term correction. All right, I hope you've been trading well. Take care of yourselves, trade well and trade wise.